Welcome back to the Nordic Championship, coming to you live from the Monster Energy DreamHack studio. It's now time for Ventus versus the final tribe, the top two teams in this tournament, fighting it out for that #1 spot.
Yeah, that is going to be very exciting, and it's really lucky, honestly, because we've been deciding which games to watch before the season even
Yeah,
started.
exactly. We didn't know this was going to happen.
And now we have the teams playing for the first place spot in the entire tournament, facing off against each other here in the last game. So, of course, um, Ventus Esports has the advantage going into this in terms of standings, but if the final tribe wins this, they are the #1 team.
Exactly. So Ventus Esports right now are at 12 points. So if they win, it's secure. They got the #1 spot. But the Final Tribe is at 11 points. If Final Tribe can get this one win from Ventus Esports, even if it would go to 2-1, so both would be tied in score, that would still then be the head-to-head rule that the Final Tribe was able to win versus Ventus Esports, which will also grant them the #1 spot. So it's still a lot up for grabs, even up to the last second of this group stage. And that's what I love about the Nordic Championship.
Yeah, for sure. And we're just going to really quickly mention that there are other games going on right now as we speak. And the teams behind them, Östersund, Placeholder, Nordanvind, and Nirki, are all playing for that very important 3rd and 4th spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is also crazy what's going on with that. But we're going to focus on this game right now, as the Cillian for Denzel has been banned, one of his champions. We've seen previous teams try to ban out Denzel's champion pool, but that was almost a week ago. So I think, or was it just Friday?
It was Friday, I believe.
So that would just mean it's 4 days ago, but maybe he had time to practice some more champions, as he was in a little bit of trouble when his champion pool got thinner and thinner.
Yeah, he's been playing the Cillian and Malzahar so far, and a lot of teams have been trying to target that, and he honestly looked pretty weak when he was forced onto a champion like the LeBlanc, and I think this is the big mismatch in this matchup that's in favor of Ventus. Priscornet, probably the strongest mid laner of the tournament, Denzel. Not been looking too strong for the final tribe. I mean, he's been doing an okay job on the Cillian. He's been consistent, but not impressive.
Yeah,
that's probably the way I put it.
Yeah, Priscornet has definitely been impressive. Like, he can run away with a game once he gets ahead, while Denzel is the kind of player that kind of does what he is supposed to. He played the Orianna, I think, also.
Yeah, I believe so.
The Orianna, Zillian, and Malzahar, exactly.
And LeBlanc.
And LeBlanc, and that was a champion that didn't go too well. Now, there are a lot of mid laners still open for him that he can go with, but of course, Final Tribe is going to go yet again with a champion. We see it a lot in these first pick rotations.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking about this top lane matchup is that this is going to be the big chance to win for the Final Tribe. They have a very strong top lane in Wazer, who's been liking to go for these carries, have been playing champions like Kled and even Ilawi earlier on in the tournament while sleeping. Looked quite shaky, honestly, in that last game. So while we have strong bottom lanes all around, I think both these teams have one solo lane that they really favored in.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say that Sleeping, when he was in a good position, that he looked strong, but he made these weird mistakes throughout that game. And of course, maybe that's fatigue, maybe that is nerves, but still worth mentioning that definitely Waster has been more consistent throughout this tournament, being one of those top lane players. Now, the second pick for Ventus Esports is the Alistar, starting off with a very tanky team composition.
So this screams to me Sivir comp for Ventus. Both Alistar and Sejuani get so much stronger with a Sivir. And up against like the squishy, pokey champion like the Jace, I think a Sivir comp would make a lot of sense to run at them. It's not really a crystalline champion. He's known for more of the carries. Of course, Sivir is a big carry, but also provides that utility. But it's the pick that really stands out to me. But also like a support pick here for Nightmares, and he's been playing some very interesting supports early on in the tournament. He's been busting out the Nami to get a lot of disengage in, and it's been going pretty well for him. It's going to be the Morgana to deny the engage of Alistar and Sejuani, and I gotta say I like that pick.
Absolutely, likes to play this kind of champion with the disengage and the CC, and of course the hard engage possibility that you also have with the Morgana with the Dark Binding. Of course, versus the Alistar, you need to be careful with your Black Shield, as you can't have it popped before Alistar uses his combo. The Kaisar is also a champion we've seen a lot go to. Kantos also being one of the stronger Marksman, and you can say it. I know you want to say it. You
No,
can just.
I'm not gonna say
You called
anything.
it. You called it. I know you called it.
Everyone can see that I obviously called it, so I don't need to mention that.
Yeah, but absolutely, Sivir makes a lot of sense in this composition with a tanky frontline, with the synergy that the on the hunt has with these big juggernaut champions. That definitely a strong pick for Ventus Esports. Now coming up to the second ban rotation, gonna go start with the Sinja.
Yeah, would not be too surprised to see the Malzahar ban come out here towards Denzel. Don't really want to be investing in a QSS when you're playing champions like Sejuani or Sivir, so that could be a something that they want to be going for there and then get Express Cornet into a beneficial matchup. Also looking for the top laner here for Sleeping because he's going to be in somewhat of a rough spot up against this Jace up in the top side, and I'm thinking what you could play here. I was considering something like the Yorick, something like a very like split push focused sort of champion, like a Yorick, like a Jax, someone who can go toe to toe with Jace when it comes to those later stages, but that would need Made to put a lot of focus up towards the top side early on to shut down this Jace, because otherwise he would be having a rough time. So that's not the safest choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And also interested to see what Raxi is going to go for with this jungle. Is it going to be a Grag, as we have seen some places? It's going to be a Jarvan, kind of, because the champion pool for the jungle is starting to get very limited with 4 bans targeted towards the jungle pick. Also now Priest Konet going to go with the Orianna. That also has a lot of synergy in this team composition.
Would you just go for Malzahar here if you're TFT to give that over to Denzel, or would you even look to flex the Jace into mid lane, which is not something I'm expecting, but could have a beneficial early game into the Orianna there? Otherwise, in the jungle role, we are still Ooh, that is actually going to be the Ivern.
I like to see this on Raxi,
Yeah.
actually, a lot, especially versus the Sejuani. We'll be able to invade, we'll be able to steal a lot of camps, and with the priority, of course, that you would have in most matchups with the Jace, what was the top lane, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. Gonna be having a pretty good matchup into the... Ooh, that is...
Oh, it's a curveball.
Ooh,
So
that...
Denzel is actually going to go with Jace in the mid
I don't think we
lane.
know that for sure.
We don't know that for sure. We mostly see Silas in the top lane.
Yeah. Wacer's been playing it earlier on in the tournament as well, so I think it's a
Exactly.
Silas top lane, but we don't know for sure.
Absolutely. And is this going to be a Yasuo? That would be the second time we see Yasuo in the tournament for this time. Or is it the first time?
I don't think it's going to be a Yasuo.
Is it not? I would like to see a Yasuo, though.
No,
I am disappointed. I am slightly disappointed right now, because I've been looking forward to see Yasuo play so much. Of course, in the hands of these skilled mechanical players. The Yasuo, of course, when you're not that good on him, is kind of underwhelming. But between these two teams, I would have loved to see a Yasuo.
That would have been pretty cool. Of course, these teams got until the last 20 seconds to swap around that Silas Jace if they want to, but as it looks, Denzel is going to be taking that Jace, and as I talked about earlier, they're all about giving ways for a beneficial matchup here, even willing to force Denzel into a mechanical champion like Jace in order to get Wazer on that counter pick. So they're really looking to play around their top lane here with that Silas into Poppy matchup.
Absolutely, and I don't want to bag too much on Denzel because, like I said, I like the way he's been playing on his champion pool. He's consistent mid laner. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's on point with the Malzahar, he's on point with the Cillian. But the game we did see him play something different, a mechanical champion like LeBlanc, he was kind of completely out of every fight. He didn't really get into any good positioning, didn't get any good roams off. It just didn't feel like his comfort zone. And going mid lane with a Jace, even into a beneficial matchup like an Orianna, I am worried because he is up versus Priest Kuna.
Yeah.
And that is such a strong mid laner. So even though I'm not expecting Priest Kuna to run away with like a bunch of solo kills in the mid lane, if Denzel cannot shut him down in the mid lane, if Vaesor gets focused up top lane, he instead gets completely shut down, then where can you really look on this team to find your carry? Kantos, sure, on the Kai'Sa, but versus this huge Sivir team composition, it's going to be a difficult task to handle.
It's going to be difficult for them for sure. I think the game plan for them should be to... Like, they have a good mid-game spike, I'd say. They have really good around, like, 2 items. They can force a lot of things to happen. I think they outscale Ventus Esports there. Ventus, on the other hand, do have a lot of strengths in the later game. If you get Orianna Sivir to, like, 4, 5, 6 items, that's going to be very difficult to deal with. On the other hand, I think that the Final Tribe have the potential to also go for a strong 1-3-1 setup with the Jace and Sylas off split pushing. They do need to get ahead to be able to pull that off, though.
Absolutely. And we've seen so many teams try the 1-3-1 team composition in this tournament, and most of them have faltered towards this fairly straightforward, gonna run into your face, engage kind of team composition that Ventus Esports are now playing. Vaser is jumping over the wall.
He used E to get over the wall, yeah.
Exactly. So it's gonna start with the E. Looking for a little bit of cheese on Mate if they are able to get this. Edging forward, now moving up, getting the CC off. Not in a good position though for Nightmare's Dark Binding to follow up on that one. So Mate is going to take some harass before, and it's not going to be able to recall before the jungle starts. So a little bit of an annoying start for Mate, but not the biggest problem really.
Yeah, of course, not losing too much, starting E level 1, and honestly, Sang, I'm not a Sylas expert. Can you tell me why there's a black spear in his inventory?
Yeah, I've seen this so many times, and I'm not sure why Sylas always gets that, can get that black spear, but he has it, and he's not going to be able to use it, though, because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, probably just going to be selling it. That's actually a good Dark Binding there. Aftershock proves to be a very balanced rune, though.
Yeah, absolutely, but Quickset took a lot of damage from that. Also with the passive proc there from Kantos. So, I mean, Alistar doesn't have the strongest level 1. Everyone knows that. It's not that much of a big deal. But still, an annoying start from them. Going to be able to push in, though, as this is the Morgana and Kai'Sa can't really keep up in pushing power versus the Sivir.
So, if I'd have to make some sort of a prediction for the early game here, I'd say this is probably going to be a pretty passive early game for both of these teams, where the Final Tribe don't really have too many lanes where they can make many things happen. And on the other side, Ventus have a very good scaling team, so yeah, while they do have a lot of CC and setup in both of their solo lanes, and maybe even you can argue with Alistar, although Morgana should counter that out, I think both of these junglers are just going to be farming for level 6 right here, and then look to make some sort of a play with Daisy for Raxi on this Iron, perhaps on towards the top side, where I've been talking about the big strength for the Final Tribe in this matchup lies. I think Vaser is a very strong top laner. I think Sleeping has been looking a bit shaky today, so I think that's that's definitely the place where you can go with Raxi later on once he's unlocked at level 6.
Yeah, Sleepy not having any stacks on his Corrupting Potion. He's taken a lot of damage up in this matchup as Vaser wants to flex his muscles. You see, Mater has spotted Raxi trying to invade his jungle. This is the strong point of the Iron. When you have Smite, you can simply just walk up, instantly steal a camp, and then walk out again. But doesn't look like Raxi is going to be able to steal anything there, although there is good ward cover from the Final Tribe here.
Yeah, strong point of the Jace as well. You can see Denzel having mid-prior now getting that tower pushed in. He's able to potentially secure some safety for Rax here, so he's able to steal away that one camp.
Yeah, absolutely. Rax is simply walking up, stealing those Raptors. Sleeping, Mate is going to concede that camp, as I'm fairly sure he knew exactly what was up with that. Up in the top lane, though, this is a matchup that we worry a little bit about, although Vaser took one turret shot there. Sleeping has been pushed in here now for the longest time. He is behind quite a lot in CS now for this early stage.
So looking a bit more about Sylas in this game, that hijack is gonna be amazing. There are some very high impact ultimates here. I'm thinking specifically on the Hunt and Glacial Prison being very strong abilities, but also that Unbreakable Will from the Alistar.
I mean, and Keeper's Verdict as well, if you want to have a
yes, sort of Keeper's Verdict. I mean, I think it says a lot when like Keeper's Verdict and Shockwave are the two weakest ultimates to steal.
Exactly, no, but I agree with you.
I mean, that Alistar ultimate is going to be absolutely huge in some of these team fights for Vaser.
It's a really strong pick to go with the Sylas into an Alistar, knowing that you can steal it, become that huge tank, and you're still going to have all of that damage on Sylas left. Now for the bot lane, here comes a potential gank. You can see the ward cover not going to go for the gank in the end, was spotted. Instead just going to take the Rift Scuttler quickly. Getting a little bit of CC off now on Raxi, will force Raxi to flash away. The rest of the CC is going to land, and Mate will be happy just getting a few attacks off in this matchup, as he can't really do that much to stop Raxi from farming when he's playing Sejuani.
And you can see here in the farm count in the jungle that Ivern is actually something that is not really that well known for, but he clears the jungle really fast early on. One of the fastest clearers if he just goes, if he doesn't go for any sort of gangster, just clears his own jungle and you're good at pathing there. So we're actually doing pretty well. Being able to recon early for those boots of mobility also gives you some really good gank setup, since you can just run into a lane with the Moby Boots and pretty much run into melee range to your opponent and then get that Q down for the stun. So still, as I said, looking for him to hit the level 6 before he makes any sort of big plays, but then there are quite a few lanes where he can go with some decent gank setup.
Absolutely. Up in the top lane, Waster steals the Keeper's Verdict as soon as he gets level 6. Instantly going to use it on the minion wave just to make sure it pushes a little bit slower as he starts to move towards the river side. For the mid lane, looking at Denzel versus Priest Kunet. Denzel is farming it up. Also Smite steals of Tempted, not going to happen. Raxi wasn't able to steal any of these camps. One thing that is annoying playing versus an Ivern is that he can easily just counter jungle you, get in, steal all your camps. But as Made has been having a smart pathing, been able to intercept this, Raxi has only been able to steal that one Raptor camp.
And I talked about the passive early game. Both of these teams are just sort of trying to stay safe early on, not mess up. Both junglers are waiting for level 6, so the only real thing that we've been seeing happening so far is the top lane CS. I talked about this both when in terms of the matchup with the players and the matchup of the champions. 61 to 38 CS right now for Wazer. He's been able to get the push in here. He's doing really well here, and that's really the only thing that's happened so far is Wazer winning the top lane.
Absolutely, Wazer going crazy on this Silas. He's up around 15 CS, no actually 20 rather, getting these CS just arriving under his turret. Down the bottom lane though, Krislund is farming it up. Slightly ahead of Kantos, although it doesn't mean that much in this matchup. Both are just farming right now in the mid lane. Krislund moving up towards Denzel. Denzel had a ward put down, so Made will not be able to get anything from this, but Krislund is handling this lane so well.
Yeah, level 6 unlocked for Made, which I talked about, the big point for him, where he wants to start to look to make some plays on towards the map. Tries to do it on towards Denzel, but that Swedish mid laner just stays too safe with the good vision control that he's having. Looking for Raxi now, he has been picking up that level 6 as well, has the potential to go for the Daisy, and with the Moby Boots, he's able to provide so much pressure on towards the map. Really want to see both him and Denzel helping Wazer secure the lead.
Look at mid lane, look at
wow.
mid lane! Priest Kunet picks up the kill on Denzel. Was able to pick that one up, 1 versus 2, I believe, with Raxi ganking in mid lane.
Yeah, taking a look at the replay right here, he did have Raxi coming mid just to help him push out the wave with the shield right there, so he got a bit overconfident, went into melee range with Priest Cornet, and he just bursted him down with his Orianna on both the shockwave and all of the auto attacks coming in with the clockwork, wind up doing so much damage. Denzel also had the flash, could have flashed away from the shockwave, elected not to do so, and yeah, I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but I talked about the solo lane mismatches here. Stronger mid lane for Ventus, stronger top lane for the final tribe, and it's proving to be true so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit of an issue when you have your mid laner die like that. Oh, the minions, the minions!
17
yeah,
HP.
yeah, that's all you need. Like, for a second, I thought that one attack in the air was going to seal the deal on Wazer, but having his Kingslayer ability, I think it is.
Yeah.
Let him heal, so if he's able to catch Sleeping and get that one off, but I don't think he's going to. Instead, he just moves forward way too deep, but look
the
at
heal!
that! The heal is there, Made, and he gets his ultimate stolen, knocked up in the air by Daisy. No tower dive available, but Made...
Oh, he's not gonna go for it.
Yeah, Made did not count on the heal that Wazer had. And this is the thing with Silas, when you think he is dead, he gets the shield, he gets the heal, and he just stays alive through anything.
Yeah, that is so huge. Actually, W getting maxed out right now for him in the top lane, which is the standard choice. But still, yeah, damaging an enemy champion heals Silas for 155 plus 21, increased to 300 and 51 health if he's below 40% HP. Grasp of the Undying on top of that. You don't really want to be fighting that way, Sir Silas.
No, exactly. And I mean, May definitely had the right idea. We're just moving forward, getting the Glacial Prison off. On paper, should have been a kill, but that was one auto attack, just a split second too late before I'm assuming Vaser was able to proc the Kingslayer and get back to full HP. Or maybe not full HP, but that's, I think, kind of what it feels like playing versus him.
SWE was one of these junglers right now, just keep trying to play around the strong side of the map, and you can see that's exactly what the Final Tribe are doing right now. Both Raxi and the bottom lane actually starting to rotate up towards the top side, so perhaps looking to catch Sleeping off guard here to go for some sort of a tower dive, because they've got the Kai'Sa and the Morgana going up. They're actually just going to be going for the Rift Herald right here with the Kai'Sa as well, and then perhaps look to use that on the top side to secure first tower blood.
4-man securing Rift Herald is definitely going to get it, but what else can they do with it? Kanto's gonna teleport bot lane. No, actually, sorry, it's Wazer gonna teleport bot lane. Make sure that he doesn't lose these last hits, but he might have teleported a bit too soon as he's about to get...
Can't steal the Alistar ulti though.
Yeah, he did steal it, so he can survive this for a long time. Is going to be able to get away with the Unbreakable Will. And again, Silas being the new champion, there are so many things that you don't really think about with him, but you mentioned it earlier, one of the strong points with him is there are so many strong ultimates that he can hijack. So just hijacking the Unbreakable Will makes sure that he can stick around on this turret for as long as he wants.
So two big differences in favor of TFT here is, ooh, good flash from Denzel, really on top of the reflexes there. It's both that they've got the Alistar ulti on Wazer, so he can actually stay under this tower, and they got the Rift Herald on the other side of the map, so they're able to push that down. If I was made in this position, I would have tried to secure the Cloud Dragon, because it was just free pressure for them in the bottom side of the map, but instead he went into the enemy jungle for some counter jungling, forced the flash mid lane. Still, no objectives picked up. Bottom lane tower still stands. Cloud Dragon is still up. May not been able to answer Raxi here.
Yeah, absolutely. Raxi been able to get a lot more done with this Ivern so far. May has been able to get some ganks off and attempting to get that top lane kill on Wazer would have been so good if he was able to get it. But as we talked about earlier, it's so hard to kill Silas, and sometimes just that one mistake is gonna cost you. Right now, it's Made falling behind in this jungle matchup.
Yeah, for sure. And with that gold going over to them with the first tower, still even in gold. There's even a small advantage for Ventus, a lost first blood tower. So even with that 1 tower to 0, they're still keeping up. And that is because Chris Cornet in this middle has about a 20 CS lead and a kill. So the total gold lead is about 1k over Denzel. That is a strong point for them. Still, though, would not be feeling too safe if I was Ventus, because when you've got a lot of the eggs in the Orianna basket, you're not going to be staying too safe up against all the hard CC here. Speaking of hard CC...
dive on Denzel. No one there to help him. He goes down. 2 shots, though, from the turret on Priest Conan, so he takes quite a bit of damage. Nothing there, though, to do anything about it. Down the bot lane, on the hunt, will be popped by Grieslund. Trying to stay away from those dark bindings. Not going to be able to spell shield anything right now. There goes the turret platings. The final attempt from Kantos and Nightmares to get a little bit more gold off that objective before it goes away at 14 minutes. But this game, yeah, like you said, it's a fairly slow game between these two teams. There are 2 kills versus the 0 for the Final Tribe, although the Final Tribe have been able to get more done globally on this map and able to secure the Rift Herald, and with that getting the first Tower Blood. Pressuring this bot lane now, with Raxi being here again. Been hiding out in these bushes for 2 times now for the past minutes.
Not sure if this is the lane you want to play around. If you are the Ivern, personally, I think that putting focus on towards the top side would have been a stronger choice. Gonna go for Chrislund here, though.
Yeah, flashing on Chrislund. Spell Shield is not going to be enough, and it cannot be used like that. The flash forward was enough to kill him. Chrislund had all his summoner spells up, but I think the flash would not have been enough to move out of range from Nightmares. He elected to hold on to it instead. In mid lane, though, Priest Conet is pushing in. He's gonna make sure that Denzel can't defend this turret, so First turret now being killed by Ventus Esports just as their bot lane turret goes down. First tower blood, of course, went to the final tribe. But first turret for Ventus Esports.
Oh, it's bottom lane engage here.
Yeah, bottom lane flash forward is going to knock this Morgana up in the air, but there isn't that much damage. Finally it comes. Sleeping gets that kill with the Sunfire.
They're gonna dive here with the Alistar ulti.
Yeah, moving forward even further. There comes a Shockwave, not going to hit anything as everyone had already died, but under this turret. Let's see if Cantos can run away with this. Flashing away is slightly too late, taking all of the damage from the dissonance, and now it's Denzel being the main focus. Is going to be CC'd, is going to be slowed, he got knocked into the wall, and that is the final kill. Up top lane though, there is Wazer pushing in. Cantos, though, is going to be able to clear this quickly, but Turret taking so much damage, not sure if Cantos will be able to hold on to it. Yes, he is. Finally, as the Turret gets a bit more tanky when there are no minions around. Waster's going to use the ultimate he just hijacked to run away from there.
Love that play from Ventus. I think that's definitely the correct choice. If you're doing well on the map except for the top lane, then just say screw the top lane. I think that's a lovely way to look at a game like this. Okay, we're just, yeah, Waster is strong. Let him be strong. Let him go solo up in the top side. I don't care. We're just going to TP bottom, go 5 people bot, dive that tower, get a couple of kills, get the tower as well, and set up for the Cloud Dragon. Good play for Ventus. I think that's just League of Legends 101. Play around your strong side, and that's just what they're doing.
Absolutely. Ventus playing this strategically and smart. They know exactly what they want, and they know how much they need to sacrifice to get it. And in the end, I think they were absolutely ready to sacrifice that top turret, but Cantos was there in time to save it as well. So that is a lot of extra gold that Ventus Esports was able to pick up from that rotation.
Yeah, been able to get a lot of gold onto both their carriers here, the Sivir and the Orianna, who both scale really well if we're gonna look at the later stages here. Also, starting to get some revenge here for Sleeping with 3 kills in that bottom lane engagement. He's actually more than 700 gold ahead of Wazer after having a really tough time early on in the laning phase. So Sleeping definitely starting to make a bit of a comeback here for himself.
Yeah, absolutely, and Sleeping was on point with that roam. Was able to arrive down bot lane, was able to follow up with his team. Now for the top lane turret. Vaser is up here alone. He's going to have to defend this. Gonna steal the Unbreakable Will, of course, under the turret. Will be tanky enough to survive a potential dive. But there's a lot of pushing power from Krislin as well. Nightmares is moving up top lane together with Raxi. Going to hit the Dark Binding.
Hitbox, wow.
Yeah, that's that's the balanced hitbox that we love. But yeah, Made has been doing a good job at get back into this game again. We criticized him a bit earlier for falling behind Rax's rotations, but after Made was able to get that gank down bot and was able to be there with his team, he proved to be that main initiator that his team needs, and he was able to get so much done. Now also going for the Cloud Dragon. This is the first dragon of the games. Aren't going to be that many dragons in this particular map. And on this particular map, Grammar Friend is my. And 19 minutes into the game, we have about 3k gold lead for Ventus Esports. Still playing this slowly, just stacking it up and waiting for the late game.
Looking a bit more about, like, I think Ventus team comp is pretty straightforward. You got a great scaling, we got 2 big carries. So if we take a look on the other side for the final tribe and see what they want to be doing right now with this sort of Jace composition, they're up against 3, not 2, 3 big tanks, 3 of the tankiest champions in the game. The only person who can shred through them, as there's a fat finger on the barrier, is going to be Cantus on this Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is strong tank killer, especially once it picks up this Ginsu's Rage Blade as his second item. But Denzel cannot shred through tanks, especially with his lethality build. Wazer, he's gonna be like annoying, he's gonna be buying a lot of time, he's gonna be in the face of Crystal and Priest Cornet, being able to peel them away, but he's not gonna be killing any tanks whatsoever. So this really just comes down to the final tribe peeling for this Kai'Sa. And yes, they have the Iron Shield, they have the Morgana Black Shield as well as Double Guardian in the Keystone, so they definitely have the tools to keep him safe and clean these fights up, but it's gonna be all down to Cantos in this later game team fights.
And at the same time, even though that is kind of dangerous, putting all your eggs in one basket, if you're going to have a basket, I would have that basket be Kantos up
Yeah.
versus Krislund, because Kantos has been consistently one of the stronger marksmen in this tournament, although now he's up versus Krislund, aka Pinoy. Also, I think the top marksman in this tournament, although I would argue that Kantos is not that far behind him.
I think it's like experience from Krislund versus the more untested raw talent from Kantos.
Yeah,
here,
that's a
but
good way to put it.
something along those lines at least, and he's going to be trying to pick up that Ginz's Rage Blade on the Kai'Sa here, which is going to be a pretty strong 2-item power spike, and with the J set it's going to be starting to sort of scale off, I think. Trying to look for a catch here once you've got the Rage Blade on the Kai'Sa would not be too bad of a choice, because you can't really just keep farming and keep playing for the late game versus Sivir or Orianna with a huge front line. You kind of need to start to make things happen here once you've been hitting that 2-item power spike.
What I am worried about is Kantos. Is he going to be able to play around Priest Kunit? Because Priest Kunit only needs one good shockwave, really, to turn any fight around. If he can catch Kantos, that will be the fight. And Priest Kunit is the kind of mid laner that will hold on to his ability, to his spells, will be able to just stick around and wait for that perfect opportunity to go for it. And Kai'Sa does not have that much of a range on this particular marksman. So it's still going to be a lot of things for Kantos to keep track on in these teamfights. He needs to avoid all the CC, he needs to avoid the shockwave, he needs to be aware of anything that happens, and he needs to be very well positioned to be able to handle Krislund also for the later stages of the game.
Absolutely agree with you there. He's gonna be having a rough time, especially since we're seeing that Priest Kunit is probably one of the strongest players in the entire tournament. He's been getting a substantial lead on this Orianna, 238 CS, by far the most in the game, going for that sort of full AP build with the Sonias there for some safety as well. So Kantos is going to have to stay safe. He is going to have at least one Ardent to back him up, though, with the Iron going for that as his next item and the Redemption on the Morgana. So he's going to have the tools to stay alive and do a lot of damage, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, absolutely. But now we're approaching the point you talked about. The 2-item Kai'Sa. You have the power spike that you wanted, you have the extra lethality and the early game power that a Jace can have with that build before anyone can stack any armor to speak about. So if TFT would want to go for a fight, want to go for objectives, am I correct in that this would be the point where they would want to try to go for it?
This is a good point to at least look for a catch. Like, I think you really have to... It's not easy. I know you're up against 3 tanks and a Sivir. It's really hard to make a catch, but I think that's what you need to try to do. You got the Moby Boots Ivern, who can run up and hit a Q, maybe even with an acceleration gate from the Jace to give even more move speed. And then you also have the Morgana binding, which we've been seeing Nightmares land quite a few of. So definitely think this is a point in the game where they want to make something happen, but right now it's Ventus that are putting on the pressure.
Yeah, Baron is completely dark. There is no vision here at all. For the final try, Ventus Esports are simply is going for it now, turning it around. Everything focused on the Morgana Nightmares, though. He goes golden, gonna survive it for a long time, able to get his ultimate off. This is not the fight that Ventus Esports wanted, but Shockwave is going to block Dincel. Now they're turning it around. The front line here is just too much to handle for the final try. Was not able to fight big, although turning it around.
Wow!
He goes in with his ultimate. He gets quickset, now kiting backwards. He gets knocked into the wall, but Kantos is on the side, being able to shut down the rest of his team, while Kantos tries to handle Sleeping. Sleeping was the one player on Ventus Esports that was at full HP after the first engage, and he just simply blocked Kantos and didn't allow him to do anything in that fight.
Yeah, that was a big team fight for Ventus. Still pretty close from a great play from Nightmares, flashing in and ulting, making a great engage happen. But then a few things going wrong for them. Dincel really overcommitting, flashing in on Priest Kunit in the backline and getting bursted down in one shot instead of being able to do anything as well as waves. So teleporting into the middle of the team on this sort of tanky but also sort of kind of AP build on the Sylas. So even though he's been doing well so far, wasn't able to provide any sort of pressure in that team fight, didn't even steal a single ultimate. So yeah, they had the 2-item Kai'Sa, they had a good engage from the Morgana, but a lot of things also went wrong for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Wazer without any real tanky stacks except for the extra armor that he gets from the Iceborne Gauntlet, he would really would have liked to steal the Unbreakable Will from Quickseth before the fight started, but you can't really decide that when the enemy team just simply brute forces the Baron, turns around on your support as soon as it arrives. Although for a second there, it looked like things were about to go bad as Nightmares was able to survive a lot of CC and a lot of focus for the first part of the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Still some good catch potential here for Ventus as well, with the potential for a Sejuani engage with a Several key. In this 1v1 matchup, the 3 kills going over to Sleeping means that he can pretty much go toe-to-toe with Wazer at this point, especially since Wazer's been going for the tanker build and not that much AP to burst through the shield of Sleeping. So not really many strong points for the final tribe at the moment. They are trying to find some sort of catch with the Morgana Bind or with the Ivan Root Collar, but it's just not happening, and Baron's always there as the big threat for Ventus.
Absolutely, and Ventus putting so much priority on this Baron. Gotta say though, good poke from Jinsel.
Yeah.
He's doing what he's supposed to on this Jace in terms of just poking, being there to try to stall things out, trying to find the backline. She was able to. But good Baron focus, good Baron control from Ventus Esports. Wazer down bot lane, pushing it out is going to be reset down bot lane as Sleeping moves down to handle those lanes. Now turning into a little bit of a quick split push up top lane. Chrisland wanted to have a few more last hits before recalling. Is about to hit his 3rd item as he recalls. Will now have the rapid fire cannon as well. So now he's starting to get into the point of the game where Sivir is a menace to handle. Can't burst through tanks though, but as you mentioned earlier, there aren't really that many tanks on this team.
Not a big front line at all, and with the death cap getting picked up for Priscornet as well, the timing window that I talked about when the Jace is still doing strong damage with the 2 items Kaisa, it's starting to close, and it's closing rapidly with how Ventus are playing this. It's gonna be difficult for them. They need to make some sort of crazy engage happen when Ventus are not ready. They do have the tools with the binding, with the root collar, with the Silas, but it's definitely not gonna be easy.
Well, they can find a catch maybe, but you just saw that happen. The Dark Binding, it hits Priestconet. That would be, you caught a carry. Of course, he has the Sonias, but still, you could try to make something happen, but they can't really, because what are you going to follow it up with? You can poke, you can hit bindings if you're able to get a catch in a favorable fight where you have more people than the enemy has, sure, but we just saw a binding hit Priestconet. He was close to the turret, and TFT didn't really have any reaction to it at all.
Yeah, they're just so scared of him right now. Level 16 with 458 ability power. That is quite a lot for being only 28 minutes in. Just, it's not a fair comparison, but compared to the 120 that Wazer is sitting on here on the Silas.
Yeah, absolutely. You see now Sleeping, as you mentioned earlier, he had a bad early game on this Poppy, but now he's simply just handling this wave with this lane without any problem. Denzel dying for the 5th time this game up top lane. I was trying to handle the wave that was pushing in, and now, again, not very much vision around this Baron. There goes the trinket, and here comes a little bit of an engage by Quickseth in the mid lane.
For the flank.
Sleeping is there. Quickseth taking it up first. Here comes the follow-up now. Sleeping is on the front line, handling it, moving forward. You can see how tanky he is. Sleeping on a rampage, picks that kill up. And meanwhile, Chrisland is behind him, making sure that the rest of his team is there on point with the focus damage. This is now the turret going down. The only thing standing behind Ventus Esports and this inhibitor.
Yeah, and with the catch being made there on towards Denzel earlier on, that just means that that inhib is pretty much going to be free after a good follow-up engage for Quickseth and Sleeping. Even though the Alistar went down, that's pretty clearly worth it when you're getting that mid lane inhibitor. After this, though, we are looking at Baron to be the next big objective, and with Chrisland going back to buy something for 2k gold, with Priscornet getting another blasting wand, I think this Baron is going to be getting bursted on quite quickly. Should they go for it? Oh!
Chrisland. Kantos can't really do anything with it. He doesn't have any mana either. Actually moves forward into Sleeping. Still wants to have this fight. Thinks they can do it. As Priestconet wasn't there. Teleport coming in now by Wazer. but no real catch potential here. There aren't any ways they have, even if they catch someone, there aren't really any ways for TFT to kill them anyways. I mean, the ones they need to catch is either Priest Kunat, who has a Sonjas, or Chris Lund, who has all the peel in the world around him, together with the Spell Shield and on the hunt for the extra mobility.
Yeah, we talked about the eggs in the Kantos basket, and that has never been more true with the Runan's Hurricane as well as the Ardent Sensor getting picked up for Raxi. So this is all gonna come down to the Kai'Sa. He can never get caught out. He also needs to drag out the fights. They can't just be like quick burst engagement, because that's going to be no time to stack up the Rage Blade, to stack up that Kai'Sa passive. So they really need the fights to drag on, and for Kantos to be able to free hit the front line of Ventus for a long time. That's the way they win a fight, but with them being so far behind, almost 10k, it's going to be a very hard thing to be able to pull off.
Absolutely. This is such a huge goal lead now for Ventus. Also looking at Jensel, who has been falling further and further behind in this matchup. I mean, he doesn't really deal any damage either onto Priest Kunat anymore, as Priest Kunat has got some extra armor. He has level 17 to level 14 for Jensel, and not that much the Poke can do anymore. No vision on the Baron. 10k gold lead. Should be a free Baron, unless a Redemption was able to steal it. That would have been funny.
Pretty close, actually.
It was like, I guess that would be fairly close. Would have been funny if they were able to steal it, but alas, that did not happen. And finally, the Baron has been taken. 31 minutes into the game. Ventus Esports playing this one so safe, although they have this huge gold lead. They have all the items that they need. They wanted to also secure the Baron without any risk of losing it. Glacial Prison has been stolen by Vaser. Here comes the move forward. Quickset is there. Unbreakable will use Shockwave. Not really going to hit anything but Daisy, but the turret still taking the blunt of this force. Sleeping on a flash out, avoiding most of this damage, just barely getting out alive. See Priest Kunat still wanting to fight this a little bit. So Nightmare almost go down.
Yeah, I talked about the long fights where Kantos can stack up the Rage Blade and the Kai'Sa passive, hitting the front line, and that was pretty close to what they wanted, with a lot of cooldowns missing there, but the cooldown on the Shockwave so short, almost halfway up right now for Priest Kunat, only a 48-second cooldown, and they're going to be backing off here, going for an extra reset, really wants to do this tutorial style.
Yeah, absolutely. No chance whatsoever for the final tribe to make something happen. Being that far behind, playing versus a team that plays so carefully, there aren't really many ways that you can win this. Because what can you do? You can't force any fights, because anyone you catch, really, you're not able to kill, unless you catch Krislund, which, like, absolutely shouldn't happen. And then, if you take a team fight, well, you versus a team that has such a huge front line, you're in the late stages versus the Sivir, you don't have a Baron, you don't have any objective on the map you can really steal, you can't split push because Sleeping Invaser. Although, is this what they can do though? Are they going to catch someone off guard in this push? Before the team has arrived, Sleeping is the main target, but look at him, the ultimate is used. He's on half HP still after all of that focus, and now the fight has started. The focus in on Vaser on the front line. There is a huge Sejuani. Vaser has gone down, and to follow him, Kantos tried to help his top laner to no avail, not even using the flash. Here comes on the hunt under the turret, Krislund tagging it up, doesn't even care. Priest Kunat is unstoppable, still chasing this down. Is going to pick up another one. That's the double kill. Quickset chasing this, moving forward, picks up the final kill. That is the ace. The super minions are in the base, and that is game one. Ventus Esports bringing it down quickly and painfully versus TFT.
Making it almost look easy right there. Gotta say, I still like what the final tribe did towards the end. They went down fighting. They did not just sit in their base and waited for like 8 super minion Baron buffed waves come into their nexus. No, they did go for the fight, and if someone other than Sleeping would have been face checking that bush, maybe things could have turned out differently, but as it stood in towards the end, Sleeping too tanky on that Poppy, Keeper's Verdict, a very strong ability, and even though Vaser had stolen that Unbreakable Will, he got bursted down in the backline.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Vaser, he did survive for as long as he had the Unbreakable Will, but he didn't really have anything else that he could do, and like we said earlier, like, there's so much peel, there's so much CC, so sure, you're gonna survive for 5 seconds, and then you're not going to do anything really with it. And like Cantus tried to jump into the backline, he tried to make something happen together with it, but again, like there weren't really anything they could do. They were just that far behind. Maybe if they were able to make that play and catch Sleepy like 10 minutes earlier, maybe something else would have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see Waysor with his build, like he was the big hope for the team, getting a beneficial matchup with the Silas. He went for a bit of a weird build though with the Gauntlet, Proto Belt, and Sonias. So he's really just trying to buy time, be annoying. He's not going to be killing anyone. He's going to be kind of tanky, but not really that tanky. So he just wants to be annoying in the enemy backline and buy time for the rest of the team to clean up with their damage. But what damage is the follow-up question? Is obvious, nothing coming from the Morgana Ivern. Denzel so far behind on the Jace. Jace is not a Denzel champion. He was almost contributing no damage there
Yeah,
towards later stages.
that was our main issue
Yeah,
really
so it
during
was
the Champions Cup.
only down to Kantos pretty much to do the damage there when Wazer went for this sort of tanky build.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have the triple front line in front of you. Like, there isn't that much you can do. So for this game, I was worried about just from the get-go, from the Champions Select, like putting all your eggs in one basket and realizing, like, okay, so these are very fragile eggs and the basket isn't that big to begin with. Like, that is a difficult situation to be in. But it's a best of 3. We're coming up with game 2 very soon, so don't go anywhere.